The lights inside the Sol Defense Command's orbital citadel dimmed as Commander Arya Vance entered the war room. A dozen holoscreens cast their glow across the circular chamber, painting faces in cold blue. Every projection showed the same image, a vast cluster of alien warships pushing through the edge of the solar system. "Contact confirmed," the comms officer said quietly. "Multiple signatures, size and formation consistent with the Vrath Dominion." Arya stood still. Her reflection stared back from the glass table, short hair tied tight, eyes sharp and restless. The Vrath had raised 3 colonies in the last decade. Each time they offered surrender before obliteration. Each time, someone else had bowed. Humanity wasn't going to be next. "Open the channel," she said. Static bled through the speakers before a deep, distorted voice filled the room. "This is High Marshal Zorkel of the Dominion Fleet. Your species stands at the threshold of judgment. Surrender your worlds and submit to Vrath rule. Resist, and your sun will set forever." The translation AI softened none of the contempt in his tone. Arya folded her arms. "This is Commander Arya Vance of the Terran Accord. We don't surrender our sky. Turn back while you still can." A hiss of alien laughter filled the room, harsh and metallic. "Your courage will be remembered, human." Briefly, the channel cut. Silence followed, heavier than before. Counselor Run from the Earth delegation broke it first. "We can't fight that fleet. We need to negotiate terms." "No," Arya said flatly. Another counselor rose. "You'd risk the entire species on your pride?" "On our freedom," she corrected. "And it's not pride. It's survival." Ren slammed a hand on the table. "Commander, you're asking us to gamble 8 billion lives on a weapon that's never been tested." Arya tapped the console and brought up the schematic of Project Aegis, a network of orbital satellites linked by quantum relays, capable of bending localized gravitational fields into destructive pulses. "It's not a gamble," she said. "It's the only system that can stop a fleet that size before it reaches orbit." Osiris, the station's strategic AI, appeared beside her as a calm blue silhouette. "Probability of catastrophic failure during first activation, 58%. Ren's voice rose. "You hear that? Even the machine says it'll kill us!" Arya didn't flinch. "If we hesitate, it won't matter. They'll burn Mars, strip our moons, and turn Earth into ash. I'd rather take the 58%. For a long moment no one spoke. The room pulsed with quiet dread. Then Admiral Quan leaned forward, his weathered hands folded. "She's right. If we die, at least we die fighting." "Authorization granted." Arya nodded once. "Then we start the countdown. All Aegis nodes online within 72 hours. Later, in her private cabin, the noise faded to a distant hum. She removed her command badge and set it on the table, feeling its weight leave her chest. Her personal screen blinked, an incoming message. Her sister's face appeared, grainy but smiling. Behind her, the red horizon of Mars glowed through a window. "Hey, Arya. I saw the news. They're saying this might be it. If it is, make it one they'll remember. You always were the stubborn one. Don't let them call us prey." The message ended. Arya exhaled slowly. Stubborn. That was the polite word. She turned to the viewport. Earth rotated below, blue, fragile, alive. Every child, every city, every hope she'd ever known rested under that haze of clouds. She spoke softly, as if the planet could hear her. "You'll stay that way. I promise." By the next day, the solar network blazed with coordinated movement. Cargo vessels ferried munitions between orbits. Engineers sealed the final Aegis nodes around Jupiter. Earth's fleet formed defensive lines across the inner system, outdated warships, retrofit carriers, repurposed mining rigs armed with cannons. It wasn't pretty, but it was human ingenuity at its finest, fast, adaptive, impossible to predict. Reports streamed in. Node Sigma online. Quantum relay stable. Mars shield network operational. Arya walked the command bridge, checking every update herself. She didn't trust optimism, only verification. Status of civilian evacuation? She asked. Limited, replied Osiris. Transport capacity insufficient for planetary scale retreat. In other words, she murmured, we hold. The AI regarded her with something close to concern. You speak as if defeat is inevitable. Arya glanced up. Defeat is optional. Surrender isn't. That night, Earth sent its final broadcast into the void. Arya stood before the global transmission hub as the message repeated on every frequency, in every major galactic language. To all who hear this message, any fleet entering Sol uninvited will not leave. This is your first and only warning. Billions watched. Across the stars, diplomats called it madness. The Wrath called it insolence. Humanity called it clarity. High Marshal Zorkel reclined in his command chair aboard the Dreadlight, the flagship of the Dominion Armada. His skin gleamed like obsidian metal, and his 4 eyes flickered with amusement as he watched the human transmission. Such defiance from creatures barely off their cradle world, he said. Prepare the cleansing array. Begin the advance. His adjutant bowed low. High Marshal, shall we acknowledge their warning? Zorko grinned, revealing teeth like polished blades. Yes. Tell them we accept their challenge, and their extinction. In orbit, Arya watched as the enemy icons moved closer on the tactical display, hundreds of ships crossing Neptune's orbit in perfect formation. Their speed was terrifying, their confidence absolute. She studied their trajectory. They're not probing. They're coming straight for us. Estimated arrival in Earth's orbit, 6 days, Osiris confirmed. Send word to all fleets. Battle readiness at maximum. The bridge crew worked silently, their faces pale but determined. No one complained. No one asked if this was hopeless. Fear had burned out, leaving only resolve. As the shift ended, one young officer approached her. Commander, permission to speak freely? Granted. Do you really think Aegis can stop them? Arya looked at the stars through the viewport, points of cold light scattered across infinite black. Aegis can fail, she said. Humans don't. The officer nodded, uncertain but comforted, and returned to his post. Hours later, the council transmitted one last coded message to Arya. Final confirmation required. Are you certain to proceed with active defense? She typed her reply without hesitation. Confirmed. No retreat, no surrender. Then she stood before the main viewport as Earth turned beneath her, silent, serene, oblivious to the storm coming. Zorkel, she whispered. You were warned. The stars outside shimmered, reflecting in her eyes like cold fire. Somewhere beyond Neptune, the alien fleet kept advancing. And humanity, for the first time in history, stood ready not to survive, but to teach the galaxy what it meant to provoke Earth. The alien fleet crossed Neptune's orbit at dawn shift, their sheer mass bending sensor arrays. Hundreds of Wrath warships moved like a single organism, silver spines glinting against the void. They carried enough firepower to erase planets, and they were heading straight for Earth. Inside the orbital citadel, Commander Arya Vance stood over the central holomap. Lines of defense stretched across the solar system, thin, fragile, human. Every heartbeat brought the enemy closer. Fleet status, she ordered. Lieutenant Osei read from his display. Outer perimeter engaged. Europa's defense drones destroyed. Neptune stations gone. Arya absorbed the losses without reaction. She'd expected worse. Activate Aegis nodes. Synchronize from Jupiter inwards. Osiris flickered into form beside her, voice precise. System calibration at 87%. Probability of successful chain reaction, 48.3. We'll raise that number, Arya said. Lock in firing sequence. Far beyond, the alien flagship Dreadlight sliced through the dark, its armored hull pulsing with violet energy. High Marshal Zorko watched human transmissions scroll across his view screen. Static-laced commands, fragmented defenses, defiant voices clinging to duty. Primitive but persistent, he mused. Their fear is well contained. Admirable for prey. His second officer, a pale creature with crystalline skin, bowed low. Our forward scouts report gravitational anomalies near Jupiter. Possibly weapon signatures. Zorkel's eyes gleamed. Ah, they've built toys. Crush them. Leave nothing but dust. He rose from his throne-like chair, stretching long limbs. Signal all ships. Begin the cleansing. Back at command, alarms flashed red. Dozens of alien scouts entered the perimeter, faster than expected. Arya leaned forward. First contact. Let's test the grid. She gave the order. Aegis Node Alpha ignited, a flash invisible to human eyes but deadly in its reach. Gravitational pulses rippled through the void. On radar, the first wave of Wrath ships flickered, then vanished. No explosion, no debris. Just erasure. Gasps filled the command deck. Confirmed hits, Ose reported. 24 enemy ships, gone. Even Osiris hesitated. System operating within expected parameters. Commander, you just made history. Arya didn't smile. History can wait. Reload the next cycle. Zorkel's expression twisted into disbelief as his forward units failed to respond. What happened? Unknown, High Marshal, his adjutant stammered. No wreckage, no energy signatures, only silence. They can't do this, he snarled. No lesser race has harnessed gravity itself. He slammed a clawed hand against the railing. Prepare the main fleet. I'll erase their insolence myself. The armada accelerated. The void between Jupiter and Saturn shimmered with approaching fire. Multiple energy spikes incoming, Osiris announced. Projected impact on outer grid in 4 minutes. Arya's fingers danced across the console. Divert node power to inner relays. Shield Mars and the belt. Move Terran Fleet Alpha into crossfire position. Admiral Kwan's voice came through from the Mars command relay. We're taking position, Commander. The Aegis grid is drawing too much power. Our reactors are bleeding dry. Hold it together, Admiral. They'll hit Mars first. Make them pay for every inch. Her tone was calm, but beneath it she felt the weight of every order. Lives traded for seconds. The battle erupted across the system. From Mars orbit, human warships, crude compared to Wrath Leviathans, fired rail slugs and fusion torpedoes. Alien plasma lances answered, cutting through carriers like paper. Entire fleets disappeared in bursts of light. Yet humanity adapted. Engineers rerouted damaged reactors, pilots turned debris fields into cover, and mining vessels rammed alien destroyers with suicidal precision. Every minute, they found new ways to fight. On the Citadel, Arya watched it unfold. Report, she demanded. Outer grid holding, Ose replied. Mars fleet sustaining heavy losses, but Aegis nodes still aligned. Keep them aligned, she said. If they fall, Earth is exposed. A voice crackled through comms, faint and ragged. Admiral Kwan again. Tell the people we did our job. The transmission ended in static. Arya closed her eyes briefly. He bought us time. 2 hours later, the first alien cruisers breached the inner defense line. Earth's orbital platforms opened fire. The sky above the planet filled with streaks of plasma and trails of burning metal. Inside command, the air grew thick with tension. Technicians shouted coordinates. The hum of Aegis grew to a deep, resonant vibration that made the deck plates tremble. Osiris, calculate overload capacity, Arya said. That protocol remains untested, the AI warned. Failure could destabilize local space-time. Failure's already here. I just want to choose where it lands. She studied the holomap. The alien flagship had reached Saturn's orbit, its shadow spanning kilometers. If she could trap it there, she might end this war in one strike. Shift all power to the Saturn array, she ordered. I want an overload ready on my mark. Zorkel stood before the viewport of the Dreadlight, eyes narrowing as he saw the ringed planet glimmer ahead. Such beauty, he said almost wistfully. Ashamed to spoil it. His sensors flickered, distortions, gravity spikes. He frowned. What is this? An aide responded nervously. Unidentified spatial activity near the rings. Possibly a human ambush. He laughed, deep and cruel. Then let them come. We'll show them what true power looks like. He signaled the fleet forward. Commence planetary bombardment sequence. In the Citadel, warning lights bathed the bridge in red. They're forming up around Saturn, Osiris reported. Main weapon systems charging. Aria's voice cut through the chaos. Then that's where we stop them. Osei hesitated. Commander, if we trigger an overload now, we could collapse the array, and ourselves with it. Aria met his eyes. If we wait, we lose Earth. I'd rather vanish with victory than survive in chains. No one argued. The command deck vibrated as power surged through the conduits. Monitors flickered under the strain. Osiris counted down the synchronization in a steady, neutral tone. 5 seconds to overload threshold. 4, 3. Aria felt every heartbeat, every sound fading into that slow, electric moment. Lock all human vessels in safe zones, she ordered. Once it fires, no one moves. Confirmed. Good, she said softly. Let's make them remember this day. The Aegis network reached full charge. For an instant, the entire solar system seemed to hold its breath. Then light burst across the void, not visible, but sensed. The rings of Saturn glowed faintly as gravity warped. On alien sensors, the readings made no sense. Zorkel's last words before the feed disintegrated were a furious, disbelieving growl. Impossible! The dreadlight twisted. Space around it folded inward like liquid glass. Then everything went white. When the flash faded, silence replaced chaos. On the tactical screens, the vast swarm of enemy ships was gone. Only debris drifted where the fleet had been. The outer planets' orbits trembled from residual shockwaves. Osei whispered, "They're gone." Aria's face remained expressionless. "Not yet. Scan for survivors. None detected." Osiris broke the quiet. "Commander, energy reserves critical. System degradation imminent." "Shut it down," she said. The hum of Aegis subsided. The deck light steadied. The storm had passed, but the cost was written in every exhausted face around her. She straightened, eyes fixed on the view of space beyond the glass. "Transmit message to all surviving fleets," she said. "Tell them to hold positions. No pursuit." "Message content?" She thought a moment. "Just one line." Her voice, when it came, was steady and cold. "The enemy fleet has been neutralized. The warning stands." Far away, fragments of the destroyed Vras ships drifted among Saturn's rings, silent witnesses to their own arrogance. And in the command citadel, Aria Vance watched the stars return to stillness, knowing the war wasn't over, only paused. They had survived the storm. What came next would define the galaxy. The silence after the storm was deafening. Saturn's rings shimmered with the remnants of the Vrath fleet, torn apart and scattered like dust. In the aftermath, humanity's victory echoed through every channel, raw disbelief mixed with awe. For the first time in history, Earth had stood against a galactic power, and won. But Commander Aria Vance didn't feel victorious. The orbital citadel's main bridge was quiet now, filled only with the soft hum of damaged systems trying to recover. Monitors flickered in half-light. Officers moved like ghosts, their uniforms stained with smoke and fatigue. The Aegis grid had burned itself nearly to death. "Status report," Aria said, voice low but steady. Lieutenant Osei turned from his console, dark circles under his eyes. "Power generation at 31%. Communication relays to Mars are down. Half the outer stations unresponsive. Radiation levels around Saturn are spiking. Casualties? Severe," he said quietly. 72% fleet loss. Mars command destroyed. Luna base barely functional. Aria exhaled slowly. "And Osiris?" The AI's voice flickered weakly from a corner terminal, distorted. "Functionality at 40%. Neural network damage substantial. But operational. Stay with me, she said. We're not done yet. Hours passed. Engineers patched systems, medical crews worked through the wounded, and the stars slowly regained their calm rhythm. But the peace was brittle, temporary. At 0300 ship time, a faint signal reached the Citadel, a Wrath distress beacon. Osei frowned at his screen. Commander, we've picked up something. Origin, outer edge of Saturn's orbit. It's weak but consistent. Alien? Wrath encryption pattern, yes. Minimal power output, survivor-level transmission. Aria's jaw tightened. Patch it through. Static filled the speakers, then a rasping voice emerged. To any who hear, this is Sub-Commander Reltar of the Wrath Dominion. Our fleet is lost. High Marshal Zorkel, destroyed. We request, Parley. Osei's eyes widened. They're asking for surrender? Not surrender, Aria said. Parley means negotiation. She stared at the starfield beyond the viewport. Prepare a shuttle. I'll meet them myself. The diplomatic hangar was dark except for the harsh white floodlights. Aria stood in her reinforced suit, helmet tucked under one arm. Around her, a small escort of soldiers checked weapons and scanners. Osei approached. Commander, this could be a trap. The Wrath don't surrender. Ever. I know, she said. But we need to understand what we just did. Aegis erased an entire armada. That kind of power will draw attention, from them, from others. We can't face what comes next blind. He hesitated. Understood. As the shuttle detached from the Citadel, the vastness of space unfolded again, silent, endless, indifferent. The wreckage of the alien fleet glittered like dying embers. Somewhere in that debris, a single Wrath vessel still lived. The derelict cruiser loomed ahead, its hull shredded and leaking gas. Aria's shuttle docked cautiously. The airlock hissed open, revealing a corridor lined with alien glyphs and scorch marks. Inside, the smell was metallic, ozone and decay. Dead Wrath lay slumped against the walls, their pale carapaces cracked. A faint voice echoed through the corridor. This way, human! They followed it to what had once been the ship's command chamber. At its center, slumped on a throne-like structure, was Sub-Commander Reltar. His once bright armor was blackened, and a deep wound split his chest. Yet his eyes, like shards of crystal, still burned with defiance. Aria stepped forward. You called for Parley. Reltar's mandibles clicked faintly. I did. To witness the one who wields such death. You attacked our home, she said. You were warned. His mouth curled in what might have been a smile. Your warning was arrogance. Your kind, so young, so small. We saw no threat. Now I see I was wrong. You brought this on yourselves. Perhaps, he rasped. But understand this, what you unleashed will not remain hidden. Others will come. The Dominion spans hundreds of worlds. They will seek vengeance. Aria held his gaze. Then let them. They'll find the same sky waiting. Reltar coughed, a low, wet sound. You think this power, your Aegis, makes you gods? It makes you prey of another kind. The galaxy will not fear you. It will hunt you. Maybe, she said. But humanity's done running. The alien's breathing slowed. You fight well, Commander. But your victory is a spark in a storm you do not yet see. His voice faded. Moments later, his body went still. Aria stared at him for a long moment, then turned away. Sealed the ship? No salvage. Let it drift. By the time she returned to the Citadel, the first transmissions from Earth had begun. Celebrations, disbelief, the birth of legends. The people needed hope, and the destruction of the Wrath fleet had given them that. But Aria couldn't celebrate. In the command center, she stood before the viewport again, watching the curve of Earth below, blue and fragile. Osiris' damaged voice broke the silence. You should rest, Commander. Later. Any word from the outer colonies? Scattered communication. Most are unaware of the battle's conclusion. Some report unidentified activity near the Oort boundary. Her brow furrowed. Unidentified? Possible debris. Or something else. Arya sighed. Keep scanning. We can't afford surprises. She walked to the central console, where the Aegis grid's data flickered weakly. The system had nearly destroyed itself to end the war. Now it was quiet, dormant, waiting. Osei joined her, carrying 2 mugs of synthetic coffee. The planet's going wild, he said. You're a hero, you know. I didn't do this to be one. Maybe not. But history doesn't care about intentions. She took the cup, stared into it. History's written by survivors. He smiled faintly. Then maybe we finally get to write ours. Later that night, Arya stood alone in the observation dome. The stars were sharp and endless, unblinking witnesses to everything. For the first time in her life, she felt both powerful and small, a defender of a species that had finally drawn the galaxy's attention. She whispered to herself, "They thought we were nothing. Just another primitive world." Her reflection in the glass looked tired but resolute. Now they know better. Behind her, Osiris flickered to life again, more stable now. "Commander, I've finished analysis on the Aegis aftermath." "What did you find?" "The event created a residual anomaly, a fold in local spacetime. Small, but expanding. Estimated containment failure in 12 days. Arya turned sharply. "Are you saying the weapon tore a hole in reality?" "In simple terms, yes." She stared at the stars again, a cold realization settling in. Humanity's triumph had come with a cost. "Send a message to the Science Council," she ordered. "And to Earth Command. Mark it as eyes only." "Message content?" Her voice was quiet but firm. "Tell them the truth. We won, but the war isn't over. It's changing." Outside, the remnants of the Wrath fleet drifted silently around Saturn, glowing faintly under the distant sun. Far beyond them, at the edge of the system, something stirred, a ripple in the dark, responding to the tear humanity had made. Arya Vance didn't know what was coming, only that it was watching. And somewhere deep inside, she felt no fear, only resolve. Because this time, humanity wouldn't wait for invasion. They'd bring the fight to the stars.